All right, welcome back to the Gym Life Podcast, episode 4 of what I like to call the new era, and gonna have some fun today. On this show, we're gonna do some Q&As or some answers to the questions that I asked on Instagram. The first one is powerlifting versus strongman. Who's better equipped to handle each other's sport on short notice and compete at a fairly high level? I think as biased as you guys think I'm going to be here, you're going to be surprised. I got some great answers to that question and some great reasons why. And then on top of that, we're going to talk about 3 pieces of gym equipment that you can't live without in any good gym, or any good gym should have these 3 pieces of equipment. I know that list can be long. A lot of you guys were in the same lane, a few outliers. Then I thought maybe you missed a few as well. So I'll add to that list for you. And then we're going to talk about, shows today. We're going to talk about promotions of all kinds that are coming up in this next few weeks of spring leading into summer. And you guys know I like to do this with every show or every couple shows. I'll point out some promotions that I like. This year we're going to get more promotions than just Strongman. I'll get into some others as well. But yeah, I've got a few for you here that just kind of caught my eye. I think a few you're going to go, yeah, of course that makes sense too. But some that I hope will lead you guys in a direction of looking outside your own bubble, maybe for reasons of just checking out the athletes that are going to be there, or maybe competing yourself. One of the best things I loved about Strongman and certainly Highland Games now is that, we can compete out of our state lines and have some fun meeting new people and experience some new competitions in some new places. So hopefully I can lend to that for you guys, get you guys looking in certain directions and maybe getting you to compete or maybe check it out if it's close enough and support some of these shows that we're seeing out there. So I've got a few of them that I'll go over with you today. And as we move along, we'll even talk about Highland Games and different expos and maybe some powerlifting shows and maybe even bodybuilding shows that fit into kind of our realm, right? Not as exciting in my opinion, but certainly worth mentioning, especially with all of our bodybuilding friends out that we have out there, including myself that listen to this show. So we'll make sure we point some of that stuff out as well. But Highland Games for sure, because that's what I'm doing this year. No strongman for me. I'm finally in a whole summer where I'm healthy again, and I don't feel like blowing out a hip or ripping a tricep or doing anything else that's going to hinder my ability to enjoy the hell out of my summer on every level, including a competitive level, which is going to be Highland Games. I get it. You can hurt yourself doing Highland Games, but I think it's less impactful as maybe Strongman is, or even powerlifting for that matter. So yeah, I'm going to do some Highland Games. My first show is May 25th, is it? I can't remember now. May 25th. It is the Alma Scottish Festival in Alma, Michigan. And I got to give a shout out to this festival. First off, it's been around for about 50 years. So it's one of the oldest Highland Games festivals in the state of Michigan. I know there's a couple others, even in the Midwest for that matter. And for any show to be around for 50 years, are you kidding me? That's absolutely crazy. And this show in particular has a pro class on Saturday and an amateur class on Sunday. Of course, we'll be competing masters amateur, but I'll be getting a chance to get back together with a lot of my old friends from the Highland Game community. I cannot wait to see them, particularly here from Michigan. And we're actually going to have a training session this week up north at Sarah and Steve Bliven's place. In Shepherd, Michigan. So any of you out there hearing this before then, get a hold of me. If you haven't got a hold of them yet or know them or how to get a hold of them, those are great opportunities to learn how to perform, or at least to compete, or not compete, but train these Highland Games apparatuses. They got a great little field in their backyard with what do you want to call them, like crossbar type things, like for weight over bar, and they got an area to throw the hammer, and so they got a nice big space out there that's gonna get well used this weekend, because it sounds like a big group of people are going out there to do this. And I just got the text a little while ago that they're gonna be doing a dish to pass, so we're gonna have a little picnic lunch out there as well. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. That's this Saturday. If anybody's interested, if they hear this show before then, get a hold of me. I'll point you in the right direction. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good though. Not bloaty anymore. I don't know if you guys picked up on that or don't give a shit, but I did. I looked back on my last show and I thought, God damn, I look like shit. I look like I was like breathing on a tailpipe all weekend long, coming off that UP birthday weekend with my girlfriend up in the Upper Peninsula. I thought I was managing myself well. And what I mean by that is I wasn't day drinking because I was indulging that weekend. Remember, I tell you guys 80-20, 90-10, whatever your rule is. Yeah, mine was out the window that weekend, of course, because it was 3 days in a row of just good eating and a couple days of a lot of beers. It caught up to me pretty good. I think I gained 10 pounds of body weight, which is not unusual for me. I don't know about you guys, but, getting bloaty after, eating like shit for a few days and having a few drinks is not too uncommon out there. But for me, I gained weight, man. I probably gained 10 pounds, so over a gallon's worth of water, which doesn't make you feel good at all. I felt like my face is actually, 2 times smaller than it was 3 days ago, thank goodness. But it always takes me about 3 days to shake that bloaty feeling. But listen, guys, I like to indulge because I like to have fun. As long as I'm kind of moderating it a bit and going once every 3 or 4 weeks, I'll deal with the bloat for sure, but certainly not something that I can do anymore every weekend like we did when we were much, much younger, like a lot of you can do right now. And don't tell me you don't. A lot of you gym lifers do that, and what am I going to say? It's the life I led for a long time as a young guy, lifting heavy weight. I mean, I think I knew what a glass of water was. It was protein and beer back then, but in any case, nowadays, I don't have the luxury of doing that. It catches up with me quick, and it takes me about 3 days to drop that water weight. It's just freaking brutal. But boy, when it happens, I feel like a whole new man, just like I do today. I'm feeling great. So I'm looking forward to this training session and going to have some fun this weekend, as I know a lot of you are gearing up for summer and these events to kick off. Some already have. I say that like everywhere is cold like Michigan is. That's not true, of course. Competition has been going on everywhere in the southern and western part of the United States all year round without missing a beat. Well, around here and in the Midwest and in the East Coast, no, it hasn't. So everybody's gearing up to go have some fun. And with these shows coming up that we'll talk about later, I'm sure a lot of those shows are on many of your lists. And if they're not, like I said, get signed up. Really cool shows. So the first question, let's get to this, right? Quit rambling, Joe. Shut up. Get on with it. Well, let me get another drink of energy drink. Not that I need this at all, but let me wet my whistle. Good stuff. Lit from GNC. That's right. Real original, right, guys? There's 1,000 different energy drinks out there, and I'm buying mine from GNC. Lit. And you know what? I'm kind of okay with that. You want to know why? I'm not so sure I trust a lot of these energy drinks out there anymore. Anybody and their brother can make an energy drink. I know it. I got some friends out there that have done it. I'm not suggesting yours is bad in any way, shape, or form, but I feel kind of safer when I get a brand name sometimes. Some company that's been around a while. I don't think anybody's keeled over from Lit energy drink, but anyhow, it gets the job done. I'm a low stim guy anyhow, guys. I know some of you guys like that high stim stuff, but not me. Boy, I can't even see straight when I do that. I just get enough from this that I get a really nice pump in the gym, a lot of good energy, and I can still sleep at night. Even if I do it like at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't have any problem sleeping, where I know some of those energy drinks, you take it anywhere after 12 noon, you're not sleeping until after midnight. And no way, I don't need any help there. I have a hard enough time sleeping as it is. So, okay. So first question. This was a fun one because this starts a little banter back and forth between the powerlifting community and the strongman community. And for good reason, right? Whose sport, I guess we're loyal to our sports. Let's just say that. We're very loyal to our sports. But it begs the question, though, what powerlifters would be equipped to handle strongman? And what are the reasons why? Well, we know we have some great powerlifting strongmen. That's a fact. That came from powerlifting into strongman. And some of them I'm fairly short notice, but even those that have trained a little bit for it, they're far and few in between. But 2 really big standout names that I can think of in recent times that are world champions, world-class powerlifters, now do very well in strongman. One of them, by no surprise to many of us, if you didn't know, Mitch Hooper was a world-class powerlifter before he was a strongman. So there's a transition that worked out really well. John Hack is another one. He did the U90 Classic for Chaos over in England last summer. Took second place. with arguably, and I said it, not even arguably, the biggest U90 lineup that I've ever seen in respect to the quality of competition. He takes second place. So it can happen from a powerlifting perspective. But the real question is, how many powerlifters really want to do strongman? And I don't think many. I don't think many. And for good reason why. Many powerlifters don't want to have to work as hard as strongmen do. That's right, I said it. Listen, I know I'm going to piss off some of you powerlifters out there, but you strongmen know exactly what I'm talking about. And you powerlifters out there that did strongman know exactly what I'm talking about. Pain and discomfort, you guys can't take that. There's no such words in your vocabulary in the powerlifting community because there is no pain and discomfort. You just lift weights, 1 rep. Maybe your training blocks are somewhat strenuous and taxing, as many training blocks are in any sport. But yeah, pain and discomfort would be one reason why powerlifters probably don't want to do strongman. Another one would be grip strength. Now, don't give me that, oh, grip strength. Powerlifters have great grip strength. No, they don't. They do an over-under grip on a bar that's maybe 80% max weight a few times during their training block. Yeah, do they have a decent grip? Yeah, I'll give them that. Is that the worst component to all this for them? No, it's not by any stretch. I think many of you would agree with me. Until you know what a strongman grip is, you don't have a grip. Go ahead and hold on to a Hercules hold or farmer's tanks or walk a frame that weighs 800 pounds and tell me that your grip's good. I remember the first time I did strongman, I was with Jared Spybrook in his garage, and I did a Hercules hold on a cable apparatus he had in his garage. I thought I was a real big badass back then. And these guys, Justin Blake, I think was there, Aaron West was there, maybe not even Aaron and Justin at the time. I think it was Steve Barkley. I'm throwing out some names some of you Midwesterners would know. And Jared Spybrook was there and a couple other guys. And they were holding this thing for well over 30, 40 seconds. And I'm thinking, okay, it's my turn. Let me get on there. And I was a power lifter at the time. I grabbed a hold of that fucking thing, and it snapped out of my hands about as quick as they let go of it because my grip, I couldn't even hold it for like 2 seconds. So strongman grip is an amazing thing. So the ability to grip things is a necessary component to do strongman. I don't think many powerlifters, maybe very, very few, like 1% or 2%, even have the grip strength to even walk into strongman without a significant amount of training to get that done. So I think they would be more geared towards shows that didn't require it. So I guess that would be the one-off. Also, athletics and endurance. I know I'm beating you powerlifters up right now. Yeah, there's not much athleticism in many of you. And there certainly isn't a lot of endurance. Because strongman has changed or turned the page on a lot of static movements, you're required to lift several reps in a lot of cases or move things many feet or for many seconds. And powerlifters just aren't equipped to do that. Now, I get it. No surprise. You powerlifters are going, oh, screw you. You're just picking on us because you want to, because it makes for funny talk. Ha ha, he ha ha. No, listen, it's an honest question. And it's an honest answer. These are reasons why powerlifters probably don't do that. Now, you powerlifters that are in strongman, for sure, you would agree with me. I know you would. Just those reasons alone and many more, you would agree with me that many powerlifters aren't equipped to cross over to strongman, not without significant training or a fair amount of training. I know John Hack, for instance, put in about 6 months of training, but I'm talking about right now. Okay, let's be clear, guys. I'm talking about you got a contest in 3 weeks. You got to compete at it. You're a power lifter. Will you be ready? Chances are, no, you won't be ready. I get it. Depends on what the events are a little bit, but I'm guessing not. And here's my reasons that strongmen will be ready. Well, one, they're much more equipped to handle pain and discomfort, and knowing that they're basically going for a walk in the park. Yeah, any strongman would do that with a skip in their step because that isn't hard at all. Matter of fact, some of them might not make it because they die of boredom waiting to actually get back on the platform because many of these strongmen are ready to go, or at least after a 20-minute break, ready to do something else that's going to destroy them. So in 5 events throughout the day, they're all ready to do that from an athletic and endurance standpoint. Another reason is our posterior chains in strongman, I say our, probably not mine as much anymore. Yeah, deadlift, forget about it. It would beg the question, and honestly, guys, again, I am not trying to be as biased on this as I said I wasn't going to be, but I would guess if you had strongmen who don't even sumo deadlift, they would destroy sumo deadlift. listen, that is not a difficult move. I get it. Some of you guys, you don't know what you're talking about. No, listen, strongmen who train strongmen all the time would destroy sumo deadlift. It would be like a Ukrainian, like a wide stance Ukrainian or an 18-inch deadlift to these guys. I mean, really, it is. They're literally just standing up with as you would with a wide stance Ukrainian or something. They pull much heavier weight than that, than a lot of these records are out there. So, these 1,000-pound deadlifts that you see powerlifters do, yeah, I'm not convinced that you wouldn't have 30, 40, 50, 100 fucking guys come from Strongman and do that pretty regularly, to be honest with you. There are some strong guys out there that don't ever try to compete in a deadlift competition that are really, really good deadlifters by default that compete in strongman. Now, squatting, that could be a problem. But again, I think as strong as the posterior chain is in a lot of strongmen, I don't think squatting would be that difficult. However, my concern would be on that short notice, and they're going to be training and getting ready for a show quickly. I agree with you, powerlifters. The squatting itself is a very complicated lift to do heavy singles on it. And I would caution a lot of strongmen to think that they could do as well on that particular lift because they don't train it as often as they think maybe they could because they're big deadlifters. So I side with the power lifter on that one. Maybe not as easy, but still very capable of doing a pretty good squat, I would guess. Depth might be a little bit of an issue, especially if it's not something you train all the time, and the timing of that depth to come out of that squat. Yeah, maybe not as easy for a lot of strongmen as they think it would be. So I kind of side with the power lifters there a little bit on that one. This third one, of course, is bench press. Now, I don't think many strongmen stand a chance, to be honest with you. I think many strongmen overestimate their ability to bench press and probably aren't as good of a bench presser as 90% of high-level powerlifters are. Let's just say raw powerlifters. Not even close. And I get it. A lot of strongmen's gym lifts are reasonable for a gym, but high-level power lifters would dominate the bench press aspect of that meet. They would dominate it. Now the question is 3 lift total and where guys would fall in the standings, but it still kind of opens up the door to that a little bit, doesn't it? Especially if strongmen can do well in the deadlift like I think they could, in a lot of cases beat a lot of these power lifters. The squat, a little indifferent, give the bench press to the power lifters. That would make for a really good and interesting meet, I would say. I think maybe some of you agree with me. But bench press, not a chance. Strongmen suck at bench press. Yeah, I get it. Some of you guys are some outliers there. I was an outlier. I was great at bench press. That's right. I was great at bench press. Also, my big chest got in the way of a lot of things like stone. Atlas stone sucked. So there's not a lot of reason to do bench press as a strongman competitor. So in your defense, guys, yeah, there's no reason to do it. Why would I train it? I have a bunch of other things I have to get done when it comes to getting myself prepared to do a strongman competition. However, there were a few of us that did it because we love to do it. And of course, as much as it may have hindered certain movements, it was still that staple movement in the gym. Maybe if you were just rep benching, I was still able to perform a pretty solid pause rep kind of bench. But there's very few guys, even today, that would be capable of competing at a high level with a bench press portion of a meet, a powerlifting meet. So I would give that to the powerlifter. So see, guys, I'm not as biased as you think I was going to be on this. I think it leans both ways. I had a lot of other reasons why powerlifters would suck at strongman, but I think overall, if you competed one in the others, strongman would arguably have more success on short notice in a week or 2 or 3 to go to a powerlifting show and perform well. Where powerlifters, I'd have to tell you guys, you'd need about, I'd say 6 months, 4 to 6 months minimum. And then a lot of your brute strength, a lot of your natural ability, that natural strength that you got, and I say natural, tongue in cheek, of course, guys, as we know, which I'll talk about that in a minute, by the way, the natural strongman stuff. But anyhow, power lifters, they certainly have the strength. But the training aspect of it to get themselves prepared to do a strongman competition, it is head and shoulders beyond what it would take for a strongman prepare to do a powerlifting competition at a very, very high level. I think the worst thing about a strongman getting prepared would be the commands, in particular, bench press. That's a tough one. If you're not used to that pause and A lot of them would make that mistake just because it's not repetitious enough for them. But if they can get that aspect of it down, I don't even think it matters. I think powerlifters are still going to do much, much better in the bench press. I'll give deadlift to the strongman. Indifferent about the squat. In the end, I give the whole competition head-to-head to strongmen. Just because they're much more athletic, much more ready-made to do the sport than the other is. Now, that's long-winded, I know. Hopefully entertaining, but long-winded. Now, I will say, if you're a geared powerlifter, or if a strongman wanted to get into geared powerlifting, they don't stand a chance. They do not stand a chance. I'm here to tell you. I've seen the guys down at RPG perform and train with geared lifting, unlimited lifting, using the bench shirts, the suits and the briefs and that kind of thing, albeit there are a fair number of strongmen that know how to use a deadlift suit. I would argue if they know how to use it very well at all because they don't train in it enough. And certainly, if you've never put on a bench shirt before, you're not going to do well in it. And chances are you could put on a bench shirt for 6 months and you're still not going to do well in it. That is a very unique thing to learn how to use. So geared lifting, powerlifting, that is, 100% strongmen don't stand a chance unless somewhere in their resume they've had some experience with geared lifting. It's pretty amazing. And I'm actually a big fan of the sport, to be honest with you. I know a lot of you guys are a little indifferent about geared lifting, but boy, is it fun to watch. You want to talk about some crazy individuals in geared lifting. Go to RPG if you're around my area for a weekend and watch these guys train. That will say enough to you about what it means to be the kind of person you need to be to get into geared lifting. They're crazier than a lot of strongmen, I know. And some of those guys make for really good strongmen, particularly Ben Paulai. You knew I was going to say his name at some point. He's a friend of mine. But, he's crazy as batshit, and he's strong as hell. Matter of fact, I saw Ben doing, I don't know, what was it, kickboxing the other day? And I had to laugh. I mean, does this guy need any more aggression in his life, to be honest with you? I mean, you guys know this if you know Ben. Does he need any more aggression in his life? I mean, Ben, maybe you should take up like a I don't know, maybe like a knitting class or maybe, I don't know, do puzzles or something like that. Because man, you're scaring people now. I'm telling you, the way he was hitting these mitts, it was crazy. But anyhow, I digress. Listen, guys, that's a fun head-to-head there between powerlifting and strongman, and certainly not trying to insult my strongman friends out there, but I think you can all admit there's a really big reason you don't do strongman. It's not because you're not strong enough. It's because, quite frankly, you're not tough enough. Strongman just isn't your thing for that reason and that reason alone. I've been to enough meets in the last 3 or 4 years to know many of those guys and gals out there wouldn't stand a chance in a training session, let alone a competition, because they just aren't built for it. They just don't have the grit to get it done. So that's my take on that. Yep, I'll get all the hate DMs now for that, I know, or a lot of you guys will probably quit listening to me, but it is what it is. All right, the next one. I just spilt my water all over my Q&A sheets too. I can do that one off memory though. That is like the 3 things that you absolutely cannot live without in a gym. Yeah, I don't think I need any notes for that. I remember everything you guys said because I agreed with 90% of it. Power rack. Power rack is the number one thing that every good gym needs, a power rack. And for good reason. You do a lot out of a power rack. Particularly, you can do a lot of varying height deadlifts, which is very important. And not just to the power lifter or strongman, by the way, but every gym goer. And I think a lot of these things that I'm going to say in this podcast, as far as equipment is concerned, it's crossed over now. And what I mean by that is these apparatus, particularly in strongman or some of these CrossFit apparatus that are being used in gyms now, and even a lot of powerlifting stuff that, reverse hyper, for instance, was a powerlifting apparatus to begin with. More and more people, and thank goodness we can all say we're grateful for this, everyday gym goers are now realizing the advantage of using that equipment, to develop their physiques. And I love it. So as a result, now gym owners are starting to take note, and many of the gym owners come from backgrounds like we do, right? A lot of them do. They take note and they realize that, those are the type of things that are going to bring new members into their gym. Because I've walked through the door in gyms before, even locally and everything, all the boxes were checked except for some staple pieces of equipment that I knew even if I joined that gym, I'd be leaving to go somewhere else because I couldn't work out without them. So there are, those apparatus, and a power rack is one of them. And a lot of you guys said power rack. Another one was axle. And I agree with you. An axle is another one. This is a strongly a strongman apparatus, but more and more people are training with the axle, for different reasons, for grip strength, for just variation of the movements, whether that be a press, for positioning, or whether that even be a deadlift, just for a little training variation. So having an axle bar isn't a difficult thing to bring into a gym. I wouldn't put that high on my list, but yeah, it would make my list. Bands. I got bands. That was from Tyler Davis, actually. Tyler gave me he gave me bands. He gave me a sled as well. And those were two unique ones because I only heard bands once, but that makes complete sense. That was one that I forgot because, when we think of bands, it's not just for us guys either. It's for the gals out there too, and all the stuff that they're doing with those bands these days. But more and more training, types of training evolve around different types of preparation, and those bands are a great way to do that. And I know there's a lot of different things that powerlifters do with the bands as well, even in bench press, squat, and deadlift in particular. And then a lot of gym goers do because it provides a tension either up or down depending on how you're training. I think that would be an easy one that any gym could accommodate. The next one was a sled. This was one I had to wrap my head around because you're right, a sled. Pushing, pulling type sled. I know Rogue makes a good one. They are, they're great when you find them in a gym, especially if you want a little variation in your training, like a lot of CrossFit type athletes do or functional athletes. I love it. It's a cardio for sure, right, guys? You bigger fellas out there that push a sled around, this. The problem is space. But then I got to thinking, every gym's got a parking lot. Every gym's got a back alley. So there's really no reason not to have one except space maybe, right? Except maybe if they're limited in that respect, like a lot of these gyms that we see in like these, strip mall type places that are privately owned. Be clear about that. Yeah, maybe they don't have the space. So maybe a sled wouldn't be high on my list, but I can see it. If you have the ability to have one as a gym owner, I would absolutely recommend a sled. Next one I got was heavy dumbbells. 100% heavy dumbbells. And I get it. They don't apply to everybody yet. Mark my words. If you're a guy that's in the gym or a gal that's in the gym now, and you're moving through 30, 40, 50, 55, 60, 70-pound dumbbells, it won't take you long to wish that you had a 100-pound dumbbell or heavier at this gym for reasons of like a row itself, a dumbbell row. You're going to chew through the weight really quick on a dumbbell. And then, of course, there's a plethora of other different exercises that you can do with heavy dumbbells. But to have heavy dumbbells is an absolute must. 100 pounds plus. A lot of you guys say 120 plus. I don't disagree with you. I got to have at least 100 pounds because I could pre-exhaust myself and go into those 100-pound dumbbells and feel like I'm still getting a 150-pound type of workout in. So heavy dumbbells, 100%. The other one that I think I saw once and I was shocked. You guys shocked me. But again, I've got a lot of power guys and gals that are a part of my listening audience at the moment, and maybe outnumbered a bit are the bodybuilders and some of the everyday gym goers. However, I would say all of you, shame on you. A multi-station. You cannot have a gym, a good gym, without a multi-station. I don't care what anybody says. We all know if we ever walked into a gym, and we've seen them, right? Some gyms that will walk in and go, where's the multi-station? All they have is like the one low pull cable in the corner. Multi-stations are everything as far as I'm concerned. They get me through, get my workouts started. They generally end my workouts. And they're also a great way to get in and get a quick, well, I used to call it bar pump on, right? If you just need a quick one, you're not structured any type of training, you want to get in there and stand in a general spot and get everything done from push downs to curls to flies to overhead pulls to, you name it, right? Upright rows, you can get it done with the multi-station. And generally every good multi-station is going to have some back pulley, whether it's a low pull or a pull down apparatus attached to it. What more do you need? Shit, if you had one of those in your house with an extra loading pin on it, you can get the job done. You may not be ready for strongman or powerlifting, but fuck, you can have one hell of a physique with just a multi-station. So that would be one. The other one is a reverse hyper. A lot of you guys said that. I brought that up in the beginning of my comments. Reverse hyper, I don't use it or have used it as much as I probably should have. So the gym I have now doesn't have one, but you can makeshift that sometimes on a Roman chair and some other things. Obviously not even close, but similar type movement to get that activation that you need. But yeah, if your gym is big enough, because reverse hyper machines can generally be quite large. I think Rogue makes one that's about the size of a kitchen table. It's tough to put those in the gym. And as a gym owner, it's tough to justify it if you're not leaning towards a strongman or strength training type facility. So I wouldn't argue if I didn't see one of those, but if I was getting ready for a contest or something like that, like many of you out there, my gym at that moment would vary. I'd probably be working in a buddy's garage, or I'd be down at RPG and where I'm at now, because it's the closest one to me. I would find a place to train if I was getting ready for competitions. But that reverse hyper, that'd be on a wish list for sure. I don't think you're going to see that in a lot of gyms, though, and I don't think you do. The next one that I was getting a lot of was a log. For reasons of variation, I would put that the same way I would put probably an axle. I saw Atlas stones. Of course, those are the strongmen coming out with that. I would say absolutely not. That is not high on my list at all. I get that some gyms have Atlas stones, which is super cool, because if you do find those gyms nowadays, you got an old school owner there or maybe a gym that leans very heavy into strongman, because first off, they're messy as hell. Most gyms aren't going to allow you to use tacky with those stones. And a lot of those stones do a lot of damage to the floor. And, the stone loading platforms are difficult to find a space in your gym for. Then more than likely you need 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different stones. It's just not something you're going to see often. When you do, consider yourself lucky. Nowadays it's sandbag. So I got that a lot. Sandbags, absolutely sandbags. Certainly the Cerberus sandbags keep out all the grit and the sand, and if you load them with a certain type of gravel or pellet, you're going to be just fine. And a lot of gym owners know that, so they're putting sandbags now in their gym. And I see a lot of gyms with 2 or 3 different weighted sandbags, which is nice, because you can do some type of medley on your own with those. You can do a load, of course. You can do a lap. You can do a press. Maybe not a press. I take that back. It's more of a keg thing. But you could certainly have some fun with a sandbag, and they are wicked to train with. As many of you know out there, some of you are better than others. I suck at sandbag. They're wicked to train with. So yeah, sandbag would be another one. Deadlift platform. I got that. Well, that goes without saying. I think every gym owner should probably have a deadlift platform, whether or not they have a lot of deadlifters or not, because the first time some guy is using a bar in the middle of a gym floor and slamming that son of a gun down to the floor with some cheap ass bar, you're going to wish you had a deadlift bar and a platform at that moment. So that's a little hint to all you gym owners. Find a spot for a deadlift platform and a bar. You can make it multifunctional. You put sandbags on that platform if you want to. You can do your axle off that platform. You can use that platform for a lot of different reasons. So itself taking up space shouldn't deter you from having one in your gym. Little cough there. Little drink here. Moving right along. I love this topic, by the way. Okay. What was the next one I had? The next one I had was, I said that already, Power Rack. That was the one I said in the beginning. Yeah, makes complete sense. But the brother to a Power Rack, the distant brother, let's call him the kind of the redheaded stepchild of the Power Rack family, in a way, I guess you guys can say, is the Smith machine, right? You can set the Smith machine up at varying heights. You can use it for a multitude of different exercises, from back to legs to chest to shoulders. It's a perfect thing to have in a gym. If I didn't have a Power Rack, give me a Smith machine. And oh, by the way, if you're going to give me a Smith machine, make sure it's a Smith machine with the upright movement, up and down, straight up and down. I don't want this back shit or front shit you see on some of these overthought Smith machines. I don't want any of that. I get it for true movement, but it isn't for every exercise. So give me straight up and down. A Smith machine was high on the list, and I was glad to see that, because I think if you had a multi-station and a Smith machine, now you're talking. You can have a lot of fun in a safe way, because I think a lot of us, especially those older guys, that free weight bench pressing is not very fun, but a 10-degree Smith machine is a perfect way to get a big chest workout in sometimes. I saw others. I saw like a Viking press apparatus. I'm not so sure. That's a fun movement, of course, and you know what I'm talking about, the one that attaches to a bar. Problem is it tears up a lot of gym bars. If you're using generally the power rack's the only place you can use that. It just doesn't work in my opinion. I like the Viking press apparatuses when gyms have them because they have room and they're probably geared more towards the power lifter or the strongman or the strength athlete. Probably not something I would have on my list. Then, of course, others would be like farmer's walk apparatus. Yeah, I agree. Farmer's walk would be easy. You can put that in your bar rack. I see a lot of guys in my gym that do not even have ever considered doing strongman using farmer's walk implements frequently, whether that's from a deadlift, side handle deadlift perspective, short walks, or just holds. And I love seeing that because talk about some serious development. You strongmen out there that do that kind of stuff and strong women, you know what I'm talking about. Boy, when you really develop a strong farmers, you've developed a strong physique. So I love to see that as well. Am I missing any? I don't think so. I think I named off all the ones that I got. Many of them were similar. Like I said, I didn't see enough of the multi-station. And I didn't see an awful lot of the Smith machine either, but those two I kind of threw out and give a little more emphasis to you guys over because I think we can all agree those are great to have. And my biggest one, and I think I've ran into this 100 times, is the heavy dumbbells. I've seen many a gym and been a part of many a gym where they didn't have them, and my membership there was short-lived because ultimately, as much as I thought I can get away without using a heavy dumbbell, I got to the point where I needed at least hundreds or more to get in some type of workout in. So, and sadly, guys, and let's face it, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Most of the 24-hour gyms you see out there nowadays, very few of them, except maybe John Simmons' place here in Michigan, down in Sterling Heights, that Andrea Shaw works out at. That's Miss Olympia. It's an Anytime Fitness, by the way. It's amazing because he basically is equipped it like a perfect bodybuilding gym. You're not going to run into that very often. You know, some owners take it upon themselves to get those 24-hour places, working at that or equipment at that capacity. Others probably never stepped a day of their lives in the gym, a step foot in the gym day in their lives. And I mean that. Many of these gyms that are owned by these franchise-owned gyms are owned by guys and gals that just bought a franchise and don't have the same experience in working out as anybody that listens to this podcast. So you get what you get. However, in a pinch, I can make any gym work for me if I need to, because having a gym like that as opposed to not is way better. And I say that because I remember when I was up in the Upper Peninsula, the only thing I saw up there was an Anytime Fitness. And I'll tell you, if I had to drive 150 miles to work out somewhere, the convenience of that place to keep myself physically fit, I would use it all day long. However, let's thank those people out there like RPG and Raw Strength and Unreal Fitness and Coop's Gym up in Saginaw, and the gym here in Flint. These are a few that come to the top of my mind, or Detroit Muscle, that have taken the liberty to make the gym again. They've brought back the gym. These owners now know that these type of apparatus and all these different pieces of equipment, they're being widely used throughout the gym and gym life community, and everybody appreciates them, and it makes their facility that much more appreciated, but it makes their membership that much bigger as well, because if you offer diversity of equipment, you get diversity of membership, and I love it. So give a special thanks to all you gyms out there that are providing these type of apparatus to all of us out there, whether we're competitors or not, that love to have some diversity of equipment. So yeah, that's awesome. So good to see that. Of course, there was a day that many of us know that bodybuilding gyms, and they're probably more prevalent out west now, that I noticed, especially when I was in Las Vegas, for good reason, right? Las Vegas has got everything. There are gyms out there that are bodybuilding geared for sure. Like I just mentioned, Anytime Fitness down in Sterling Heights, I think it is, or Utica. I'd still work out there. You want to know why? They got heavy fucking dumbbells. And they got about 5 or 6 other things on that list I mentioned. They may not have the farmers. They may not have the axle. They may not have the log, but they got everything else. So there's always places that you can find that are one-offs out there that accommodate all of us that get the job done. There you go. Woo! Man, I'll tell you. That's 2 like Q&As in a row. And that was, I think I did that in one breath, actually. So let me take a breather. That's a 2-second break for a drink of energy drink. Okay. Maybe you guys are with me. Maybe you're not. Maybe I lost you somewhere along the way. Maybe that's why I take these shows sometimes and I clip them and I break them up to make you realize that there's more to these shows than just the one or two things you hear that you don't like. The gym life community is very diverse itself. Just like the equipment, I think you can all agree. And boy, I tell you, I don't mind talking about everything. Everything might not be for everybody, but I don't want to leave anybody out either. So, that's why I get, maybe down some of these topic paths, some of these questions and answers. They're things that pertain to us all at some point, or maybe only a few of us at any given time. But we certainly can appreciate the diversity of the gym life culture. And I want to keep this show as much as I can. God, you strongmen and strength athletes keep pulling me back in constantly. I'm kidding. You're not really pulling me. I'm willingly going, that's for sure. And I'm willingly going to go to these shows if I can make them. So let's talk about that. Great segue. All right, first one on my list. Well, first one I want to talk about already passed. It was April 27th. It was the strongest. It was strongest. What is it? Strongman, strongest man in Las Vegas. What's the name of the show? Yeah. Las Vegas Strongest Man. That makes sense. There's always some play on words there, right? Las Vegas Strongest Man. I reached out to the promoter and I mentioned to him or whoever was in charge of the ID, and I said, listen, I want to get some more information on the show. I didn't know who won the show because that's a Pro-Am show, guys. I love Pro-Ams. Pro-Ams are very nostalgic, and I don't think there's enough of them, although I don't know if Strongman Corp allows too many Pro-Ams to happen. No doubt there's certain criteria that Dion expects at any given Pro-Am, so it's something you got to earn, I'm sure. So kudos to the Las Vegas Strongest Man because they were a Pro-Am this year for Strongman Corp. So we had two new pros that came out of that, and I'll mention them first. That's Trevor Vecker and Chris Matos, by the way, who I followed on Instagram for many, many years. Strong open guys. Both won their pro cards at that show. So, I love the fact it was a Pro-Am. And the pageantry of it was nice, too. It was done at Red Rock Harley-Davidson, so the backdrop was super cool. To be able to find facilities like that you're able to do shows in is no easy task to convince that business owner, we're going to take care of your facility. You be a cool backdrop for our show, and we're going to have some fun here with you. So kudos to you guys for getting a cool backdrop. The Pro-Am thing was cool, and I really thought the shirts were indicative of any pro show with the names on the back. I love that, by the way. Jeremy Molcher just did that recently in Kalamazoo at the show that I attended. I love that. There's not a lot of effort there, guys. Maybe there's some effort. I get that. But for you promoters out there, if you have time to do that, you really want to make a statement for your competitors and show some appreciation, get the names of your shirts on the back. I just think that's cool as hell. And kudos to the guys at Las Vegas Strongest Man for doing that as well. And then on top of that, they had state flags. Each guy came out with a state flag instead of their country flag. They had their state flag with them. And again, they were provided to them by the promoter. And I just thought, what a cool layer to this show. It really kind of led to the pageantry of the magnitude of that show being a Pro-Am. Two guys came out of this show getting their pro card. We should make this an exciting thing, and they did. So I just wanted to make sure that I pointed out and gave credit where credit is due. And that's what I'm going to do with these kind of shows that I do, talking about these events and these competitions, because there's so many cool events out there. And maybe next year, you guys in that general area out west, or hell, anybody that wants to go to Las Vegas and have one hell of a weekend would consider Las Vegas the Strongest Man. Because what I recognize about a lot of these shows, they never go backwards. They only go forwards, if they're moving forward at all. A lot of competitions you see get stuck in the mud. They're the same show every single year, and the promoters aren't being innovative enough to change things up, to make things more exciting, to bring new and better competitors and more competitors in. So kudos to Las Vegas Strongest Man. You set the standard for yourself now. I expect there's no place to go but up, and I look forward to seeing this show next year as well. And hell, that's a good reason just to go out to Las Vegas, hang out for a couple days and have some fun and watch a strongman show. So kudos to you guys again. Really, real cool. If you guys don't know, get on Las Vegas Strongest Man on Instagram, and you guys can see all the highlights of that show, or many of them, along with a lot of the pageantry that I just mentioned to you. The next show that I want to bring up. Oh, and another thing real quick, guys. You promoters out there, do your shows a favor and create an IG page for them. It isn't difficult. And it's just a great place to put all your show content, especially if you're doing a real good job of identifying who your competitors are, much like World's Strongest Man does, or the Arnold does, or the Shaw Classic does. Las Vegas Strongest Man did the same thing, just like PSL does. They announce who their competitor lineups are, and I get it. Not every show applies. You don't necessarily have to do that, but certainly get your own IG page like Great Lakes Strongest Man. And I can't go a whole show without saying that, but it just lends a different layer to your show. It makes it easy for people to find more information, and it just kind of lends a little bit more, it lends a little bit more gratitude to those people that are involved in the show that are there because they love watching their videos. They'll point people in that direction, just seeing themselves, maybe collect a picture or two, that kind of thing. So speaking of pictures, well, it's probably not a perfect segue, but I did like it because I talked to Tyler Purdue. As you know, he's a friend of mine. He does the Pro Strongman League. And, he's always moving in the right direction as well. Coming from a lot of the or the other promotions he's done, to go unnamed. He has put together this Pro Strongman League over the last couple of years. And, it's in its sophomore season, I guess you can say, which is this year. And there's no sophomore slump, that's for sure. The 105, Virginia Beach 105, U105, U82, women's and men's respectively, is coming up to Virginia Beach 17th and 18th of May. I looked at that lineup. First off, any lineup where I see Nick Hine, Sean Shoemaker, Isaac Mason, just to name three. I can keep going. Jacob McBride, of course, Richie Mose, another big one, even Vince Wilkinson, somebody that came out of Clash a couple years back. That's a huge lineup, guys. And you guys shouldn't go that shouldn't go unnoticed. If you guys want to see the best of certain classes, look around, because at certain shows like the PSL, they all gravitate towards that. And we've got Summer Johnson, we got Nadia Stowers in the 82s in particular that I made note of, and other great athletes to go along. These are big shows. So if you want to see those big names compete against each other at a high level, PSL is a perfect spot for that. Yeah, I'll give them kudos for sure, because every big name wants to compete at PSL. It's an invite, I'm sorry to say, which means generally you got to have a pretty good resume to get there. But when you do get there, you get there free. You don't spend any money on entries, which is nice. And not every promoter is capable of doing that. I agree. But PSL has that luxury because they have really big sponsors behind them, like Cerberus at a high level sponsoring the show, the series of shows, the PSL series or whatever they call it. Sorry, Tyler. Not to mention they have great behind the scenes people, and they also have great upfront personalities, like my friend Yanni Bear on IG, commentating all the events. The MC of the events. And then, of course, CJ Kraus. And CJ Stroud's a quarterback. You're not CJ Stroud, although you wish you had his money. You're much tougher and stronger than he is. CJ Kraus and Jen Bates? I'm not really familiar. I know she's announced some shows, but she's a high-profile personality that are going to be commentating this event. I love it, love it, love it. And, of course, Bobby Thompson is going to be the head referee. We all know Bobby. So they've really put together a really nice series of shows throughout the United States that many of you are aware of that always deserves some pat on the back and pointing out where these shows are and when they're going on. And if you're not familiar with them, get more familiar with the Pro Strongman League, because if you're an aspiring strongman, it's a place that you want to be eventually. And if you're a fan, that's a place you want to look to find the best competition in respect to viewing it, which, oh, by the way, it's a free live stream. So you can get on and watch this show every time it's broadcast. From wherever it's broadcast, they're going to have a live stream that's for free. So get on Pro Strongman League on IG, and you'll find out more about that. So, yeah, I love it. What else? Free photography. I mentioned that. That was my segue. They do free photography for all the athletes, and then they do a prize money. But then the prize money also is generated through merchandise sale, and 100% of that goes into the prize money pool as well. So they've done a really good job of building a real cool league or a real cool promotion there to really give back to the athletes and give back to the spectators. And don't get me wrong, these promoters don't want to do it out of their own pocket, but when you put together promotions of that caliber, you watch. If you build it, they will come. And what I mean by that is sponsors. Maybe not without a little legwork, but they see the effort you're putting in as well. And generally that'll lead to bigger prize money, better events, better locations, better apparatus, all that kind of stuff. The next one is Battle at the Beach. Battle at the Beach by Nick O'Hare. I love this show because I wish more promoters would get creative with backdrops. And if you are in July in the state of Michigan, there is no better backdrop than being at the beach. I think 90% of the state at that point is at the beach, because the beaches in Michigan along the Great Lakes are absolutely gorgeous. And if you're on the east side of the state and that Harbor Beach area, Lexington area by Lake Huron, the beaches are freaking amazing. I'm talking sand, 100 yards to the water. And Nick generally throws some events in that sand. I know he's got a truck pull this year that's going to be, obviously, let's pray to God, outside the sand. But he's got some frame carries. He's got a pressing for points, which is different apparatus to get different points, which is a creative take on any type of pressing medley. So I love that. Then, of course, all of his entries go to prize money. So there's another promoter that's saying, hey, I've done the right thing with my event to make sure that my sponsors can take care of everything else. So if you guys put an entry in, he's just going to put it right back into prize money. So the more the merrier there. And I invite anybody in the state of Michigan, in the general Great Lakes area. I get July can be a busy month for a lot of people, but this is one of those shows you don't want to miss. I'm going myself. I'm going to be not commentating. I am going to be commentating. I'm going to be live streaming. So yeah, you get to hear me through 5 hours of this show, but I wouldn't miss it anyhow. And I've been waiting to go there the last couple years. Just been busy in July because I know how that is for a lot of people. But I'm going to spend a couple nights there, my girlfriend and I, and we're going to have a blast. So if anything, get to the show and watch it. Better yet, compete in the show. And then, well, I'll take you out for a couple beers after. That's one big beer for each competitor over the age of 21. Or maybe two. I'm feeling pretty generous. Yeah, so anyhow, Battle at the Beach, July 13th. Get on our podium for more information about that. There's still some spots open for that sign up there, and it's far enough away for a lot of you guys. I want to give a shout out to Strongman Corp. I know I've given them some grief over the years. I know I have. Dion probably doesn't like me at all. I've said some things on my podcast. Well, just opinion stuff. She's got pretty thick skin, though, as do many of the people that work for these promotions. There was a few things in the past that just was like, I thought they can do better. Well, I got news for you. They're doing better. And what I mean by that is their marketing and their information they're getting out there about their shows right now is awesome. And I like the America's Strongest brand. If you guys haven't got on the IG pay America's Strongest, it's awesome. And the branding of that, and that's America's Strongest 105s, the U80, the U82s, the 64s, the heavyweight men, of course. It's America's Strongest Man. And now, of course, and it's been like this for quite some time, every weight class is now a part of that series or series of shows. I was just impressed with it. The branding was awesome. And I really love that because I got the information I needed to get off that IG. And when I saw those IGs come through, I knew some changes had been made there. So I appreciate that. I appreciate even the biggest organizations making moves to continue to get better. I think there's some complacency in the sport sometimes. And I think, no matter how big you are, you always have to ask yourself how I'm going to make my product better to present it to not only the fans and the bigger audience we're all looking for, but the competitors out there. Because, oh, by the way, that pool is growing as well, not just with competitors, with the shows. And if your show's stinking up every year or it's not getting any better, don't think if you don't get anybody to go to your show, you're surprised. People talk. Competitors talk. They talk about the shows they want to see, like Great Lakes, for instance. I don't think there's a person in the United States that doesn't know Great Lakes Strongest Man. Probably because I talk about it all the time. And if you listen to this show, you can't go through a show without hearing that name said at least once. But that's a perfect example of a show that continues to push the envelope of getting better and better just when you think it can't. It does. Okay, another show. These are shows that caught my attention. Because the shirts are cool. The logos are cool. Promoters, get your logos right. Just have somebody work on your logo. You know what? Go to like that AI technology and just tell them what you're looking for and have them kick back a logo to you. Some of these logos suck. You guys suck at logos. But some of your logos are badass. And a couple of them that I saw, I've made a mention of before, Third Monkey Throwdown. I'm going to say it again. Third Monkey Throwdown is this weekend. Can you guys save me an extra large shirt, please, and send it to me and let me wear it? I'll buy it from you. I'm going to buy a lot of your shirts, you promoters, because I want these shirts. They're going to be badass. I know they are. So I kept my eye on that one. Freedom Strength Fest. Another caught my attention. I love it. Alpha Omega Gym caught my attention as well down in Toledo because that's a big gym down there. Alpha Omega, from what I understand, I haven't been there. I've been invited to go down, is the Cat's Pajamas. So when I saw that and I saw Freedom Strength Fest and then I saw their poster, I was like, God damn, that looks like a show that I would want to be a part of and at least see. And who knows, maybe I could find my way. I can't remember what day it was, but it's coming up pretty quick. Of course, I made mention of the Moby Strikes Back, Chris Vaccio show. I love just the humor behind that. You know, that I was going to say pageantry, but I don't know how two big dildos make for any pageantry. But for those of you who don't know, look it up on Iron Podium. It's the Moby Strikes Back. It's the Dia del Dildo 2. I know you're curious if you've never heard about it before. I'm not going to get into it at the moment. The show is July 20th, so it's a ways off, but I will encourage you to get on Iron Podium. Chris, he wrote out how he got onto this show, what was his idea behind it in the beginning. He's got videos on there, you know, showing these apparatus, these big, large phalluses in use. And it really is a fun sort of backstory on what his ideas were to put together a fun show for the strongman community called Dia del Dildo. It's inaugural year last year, and this year, of course, it's the Moby Strikes Back. So, yeah, anyhow, that's going on. Another one I thought that looked pretty interesting was Tennessee's Strongest. That's on June 8th. First off, that shirt's going to be badass. Jack Daniels look on it. I mean, come on, guys. Who doesn't want that shirt? Tennessee's Strongest, I'm reaching out to you. I want to buy one of those shirts. So hopefully you can order me one. But anyhow, that was another one I looked at, and I looked at the competitor list on that. A lot of times I'll go do that, guys. I'll get inside, look at the competitor list on Iron Podium. It wouldn't discourage me from doing a show, but boy, when I see a show that's doing really well, 2 months out or a month out, and they're already filled up, yeah, that's really going to be really competitive, and I love that. I think I've been a part of many shows that there's been few competitors. I've been a part of many shows that have had a lot of competitors, but I was never disappointed as a competitor. That never discouraged me. Matter of fact, I appreciated some of the smaller shows sometimes, but it is fun to see a state show like Tennessee's Strongest, like Great Lakes Strongest, like Idaho's. I think I even put Idaho's Strongest, yeah, Strongman Championship. That's another one that I was looking at. Had another cool shirt there. Or a logo poster that got my attention. But they also got my attention because they have big lineups. If you're calling your show Idaho's Strongest, Tennessee's Strongest, Great Lakes Strongest, and so on, well, damn, you better be reaching out and you better be filling that competitor list up. I get it. Every show starts somewhere, but generally those promoters have a pretty good foothold within the community to make those shows fill up, because that's a title everybody should want. I got Great Lakes title one time, maybe twice when I was younger. That was a great title for me. I got Ohio's Strongest one time as well. That was a great title. It means a little bit more these days than it did then, but as far as myself was concerned, it was just a proud moment. You feel like you're going and you're claiming what's rightfully yours, or you're taking it away from somebody else, like I felt like I did in Ohio. But that's a good feeling too, because of course, who likes anybody from Ohio State area? And that's exactly where the competition was at back then. Especially if you're from Michigan. We don't like Ohio State, as many of you know, or us for that matter. So I get it. Come on up here and take the Great Lakes Championship. Why don't you? That's right. I encourage all you Ohio people, sign up for that show and win it. Yeah, I'll give you something special from that show too. I'll put together my own prize package if there's anybody from Ohio that can go up and win that heavyweight open class. Although I hear somebody might not be there this year, so maybe I better watch what I'm saying. But new blood. So, yeah, guys, that's my take on the shows. I picked out, about 4 or 5 of them there and the reasons I liked them. And that was a lot of rambling. This whole show was a lot of rambling. I'm hoping I can keep most of your attention. Please subscribe. If you made it this far in the show or any portion of the show, I probably should have put that in 1,000 times. I'm not very good at self-promoting, but I really would ask all you guys to follow my Instagram page, the Gym Life Podcast, and follow my YouTube or subscribe to it, the Gym Life Podcast. Again, it just encourages me, and the amount of feedback and the amount of participation and the amount of people that were watching the last couple episodes has gotten me really excited about continuing to do this. And for me, that's all it's about. I'm never going to make any money doing this, and it's not something that's going to, ever provide anything more to me than just entertainment, being a part of the community that I love. But when you guys tell me that you love what I'm doing by subscribing, liking, sharing, or coming on the Instagram page and following, that just reminds me that I'm not doing this all for naught. I'm doing it because I'm lending something else to the community that I've loved so long, my whole life. So thanks again, guys. I appreciate your support. Stay healthy, stay fit, stay strong.